Hey guys, I'm Mel with Team Powerlifting. Today we're going to go over protein intake and how much you really need. And I'll try to draw it out for you guys so you can kind of see how I see it in my head in a little graph. So let's go ahead and get started. At the bottom of our graph, we're going to draw a percent body fat or leanness scale. And then here we're going to draw our protein needs, okay? We're also going to include a third axis, which is right here, your training axis. Stay with me, training. So let's say the average person is right here. And what this is gonna look like is the recommendation of, let's say, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight of protein intake. But are you the average person, or do you need a little bit less or a little bit more? So the way this is gonna look is down here, we have our, excuse my stick figure, just pretend it's a person who has, let's say, 35% body fat or higher, and they don't train. So they might be eating in a surplus, they're not training. So I'm gonna draw a little barbell here. Hope that shows up for you guys. So they're gonna need the least amount of protein here, okay? So probably about 45 to 55 grams a day. Let me write this in another color. On the other end of the spectrum, we have our really lean individuals. So let's draw them as, I don't know why my legs are coming out of the same spot. Draw some muscles. Art is not my forte, so forgive me. It's a lean guy. And he has, let's say he's dieting, so his calories are low, his training is high. He's gonna need the most protein here. And then this person will be, calories are at maintenance, and then training, but not really trying to build a lot of muscle. They'll be right there. So what does this look like across the spectrum? So if you're here, so most of you who are going to be watching this video are probably trying to gain muscle and or lose fat. So you're going to be probably in this vicinity here where you are maybe a little bit overweight. Let me draw legs from here, but also building a little bit of muscle. Let's draw some quads. Let's just pretend, okay? And then maybe your calories are not at maintenance. So you're in a deficit. You're training pretty intensely, trying to build muscle. Your calorie needs are gonna go up, but they're not gonna be as high as the person who is leaner because of partitioning. So as you're losing body fat, because you have so much body fat to lose and you don't have that much muscle to pull energy from, your body isn't going to strip your muscles that you have. So what ends up happening, even at a deficit with training, your needs aren't that high. Your protein needs aren't that high. So what this might look like is 1 gram per pound of lean mass. So how do you know how much lean mass you have? You're probably gonna have to estimate if you have like access to an in-body or any type of handheld body fat measurement device. That might be a good starting point to figure out how much lean mass you have and eat protein based on that number, not on your current body weight, okay? They're probably gonna be at 0.8 grams per pound, so just shy of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, okay? So they're not trying to make any changes here. As we move up the scale, so as we go and we're trying to get, let me draw my stick figure here, just pretend here. So smaller muscles, oh my gosh, this is awful. Okay, so this person is going to be maybe in a small deficit, so their calories are low, but they're trying to maintain their muscle, right? Or maybe even put on muscle here. So they're trying to get lean, or they're already on the leaner side. They're not intaking enough calories, so they're going to have a higher protein need than this. This type of person is where the 1 gram per pound is a great number to hit, okay? So this person is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, okay? Now, people are going to say, oh, well, I've always heard just to have a gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's fine. If you're here and below and you want to hit this number, you're good. That'll cover you. But if you want to know how much can I get away with eating, what's the lowest amount I can get away with eating, you're probably going to be here. Now, me personally, I like going above this number for my strength athletes and for athletes who have been training for a really long time. I feel like it helps with recovery. So not necessarily for fat loss or for maintaining your muscle, but just helping you, assist you with your recovery levels. So in addition to that, you're also going to get the effect of protein sparing with higher protein intake. It doesn't hurt to have a higher protein intake. However, if you can get away with not eating super high protein, let's say you're in a deficit here, you're not eating a lot of calories and you're like, man, I don't want to just be eating protein. I want to be eating carbs and fats. Well, you can get away with eating more carbs and fats if you have a higher body fat. And it also depends on how severe of a deficit or how much of a surplus. Now, if you're here, if you're this lean, but you're maintaining or trying to gain weight, so if your calories are higher, so you're leaner, so we're still looking at leanness here, same person, but his calories are higher. Let's say he's bulking, he's trying to put on some size, so he might be built, but he lost his abs, maybe a little bit. I apologize for showing. But he's training. He might have less protein needs. This guy might also get away with 1 gram per pound of lean mass, especially if he's very muscular, right? So if let's say he's 250 pounds and 230 pounds of lean mass, probably could get away with not eating 250 grams of protein a day and probably get away with a little bit less. So it all depends on how lean you are on this scale, how much training you're doing. So more training means more protein, and how many calories you're taking in. So as you take in less calories, you're gonna need more protein. As a nuance to this, or as a supplement to this, if you're coming from a place where you're eating 45 to 55 grams of protein a day, you don't wanna jump up and have a gram of protein per pound of body weight, because you're not going to be able to digest it. You're probably going to have stomach pains. You're probably going to have issues that are going to make you not want to eat protein ever again. So my recommendation is add about 10 to 15 grams per week into your diet until you reach the point where you want to be, because this is going to help your body learn that you're increasing your protein intake. It's going to increase the enzymes that it's producing that'll help you digest the protein, and it'll make you feel better overall. Now, me personally, if I was training for myself, so I'm probably somewhere around this category of body fat where I'm on the higher end. However, my training is high. So my training is probably here, body fat's here. My protein needs are probably going to be here. Then I have to look at my calories. Are my calories high or are my calories low? Remember, if your calories are high, you could get away with lower protein. If your calories are low, you can get away with more protein. So I'm about in between. I could probably get away with this, or maybe even less. 1 gram per pound of lean mass, I have about 115 to 120 pounds of lean mass. I could probably get away with that. But me personally, I always multiply. So whatever the recommendation is, I do this 1.25 times. This is where I personally feel the best. So if I'm in this category of 1 gram per pound, I do 1.25. So whatever that number is, I multiply by 1.25. But again, I'm an elite powerlifter, squatting over 300, deadlifting around 400. My bench is poverty, but we won't talk about that. So my needs might be a little bit higher than yours. So you just have to kind of play with it and see where you feel good, where you feel recovered. And also when you do regular body fat testing, which I know not many people like to use them because they're not accurate, but the point isn't accuracy. You want to use it as a tool or a means to an end, right? So when you use the body fat measurement as a tool, it kind of gives you an idea of, am I losing fat? Am I losing muscle? Am I gaining? Like, what's going on, right? And that's a good way to kind of estimate, to kind of tell you where you're at. So if I were to give these numbers, I would put this greater than or equal to 35%. And this is for women. Here, I would say probably here would be 25 to 35%. 25 to 30%. And so obviously this would be in between like 30 to 35. And then here, I know I drew a picture of a dude, but we'll pretend it's a woman. So all the way here would be less than or equal to 15. So this is like bikini competitors, figure competitors, women who are leaner. Most powerlifters hopefully will never be around this body fat. It's just not necessary to get that low. You really want to be, I feel like this is the perfect range. If you want to be strong, you want to have some fat on you. This is going to be probably not any more beneficial unless you're like a super heavyweight and you want to hit some records. But if you want to be pound for pound strong, you probably want to be around this range. And then here you have like 20-ish%. So 20% is still very lean in my opinion. I think around 22% is when you get into like the lean territory. So that's about how I would kind of structure that. And yeah, that's all she wrote.